Storm's out.
All right, storms in, storms out. Now we got McIlvain here. Are you crazy or not? I mean,
well, I have been asked that
nice.
question.
I mean, I just think that your lovely wife is sitting over here, and you're like, okay,
Rhonda would say he's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Rhonda, I'm gonna be run for this office here. What was the motivation for this? Now, I talked about this before, and you said something to the effect like, "This is what I was born to do." I can see that. I can see that.
As I've said, I have a lifelong commitment to service, and
Yeah.
I'm continuing to keep that going, that trait going. It's something that I feel like needs to be done. I think we need strong, responsible leadership at the county level, at all levels.
Right.
But, I think this is an opportunity for me to get involved at that level.
What is the biggest issue facing the county? I have a few ideas, of course. I think, there's challenges everywhere, of course, and no place is perfect. So.
Well, that's true, but there's several things. In fact, one of them that the county actually has no control over, but the public has the idea that to do is water.
Water, right.
But the county does not have any control or authority over the groundwater or the wells and what have you.
They have no control over growth.
Well,
I mean, they've had a lot of their power stripped away in the last few years from the legislature.
You also realize that the county's kind of at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to federal government, state government, and then get to the county level.
And the county's got some unfunded mandates that are there. What do you think about those?
That's unfortunate in a way, because roughly a third of the county budget is created by mandates that come down again from federal government and state government. That's one of the reasons it's a challenge to control and maintain a budget here at the county level. Is the mandates that are being handed down. So.
The budget processes last year was probably one of the most curious budget processes that I've seen yet, because you had one commissioner who's no longer there, didn't even bother to participate, and then you had the judge was trying to get cuts in some areas. But I mean, I think when you get sworn in, if you win this thing in 2025, 2026 is going to be a very difficult budget season already. It's going to be difficult this year. What is your assessment of that process?
Well, I think the process is one that you really have to work very closely with each department head, make certain that, I've been in situations when I worked for municipalities where every department head develops a budget, and every department head thinks their budget's the most important in the organization. And then you have to have a leadership. In this case, it'd be the city manager at the municipal level. It would be the commissioner's court at the county level. Sit down and evaluate all the budgets and establish priorities and make a determination of what's best for the majority of the citizens of the county.
Right. If elected, and if Tom Jones wins election, there'll be 4 of the 5 members of the commissioner's court will have mustaches. Is that too much?
I don't think it's ever too much.
Never too much.
That's a good analogy. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, there you go.
In fact, we'll just, instead of powdered wigs like they did in in Europe, it'll just be, you have to wear a mustache.
We'll have to have the mustache will have to be groomed from now. We have to have like a makeup artist before we get on there. The Precinct 3 is an oddly shaped precinct.
It is.
Tell me about the precinct. What makes it unique, I guess?
I would have loved to have been in the room when those boundaries were determined.
Yes.
Because a majority of Precinct 3 is in the city.
Yeah.
It includes the summit and the female street names up and down.
Right. The lady names.
The lady names,
right.
Yes. Correct.
And
it goes down to Guadalupe Street in some areas.
Yeah, and it includes the Doyle District and most of downtown, right?
It does.
You made a great point, though, and I didn't realize this either, about the courthouse.
That's correct. The courthouse is one example. The old portion of the courthouse is in Precinct 1. The newer portion is in Precinct 3.
How many times do you have people come up to you and say, I have no idea what precinct I live in?
That's not at all unusual.
Yeah. I feel like I have people say that to me.
It's a little hard to determine what precinct you're in. It's hard. One of the things I think the county needs to do is we need to do a better job of mapping and laying out, or at least showing where those
You need a better map
lines
to see it.
lines
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
To
Because-
see
because-
what precinct.
Yeah,
various things.
2, 1, and 4 sort of makes sense, and 3 is just kind of because then it wraps back around towards comfort.
It does. It does. There's some other interesting aspects too. It goes along Memorial Drive until you get to Shriner University, and then Shriner University is cut out of 3 and then 2.
Yeah,
just almost by itself.
Right, and then like the ag barns in 2, and that
That's
kind of
correct.
makes a little bit of
Airport's
sense.
in 2.
Yeah, the position's been held for nearly 30 years by Jonathan Letts. He's
correct.
now resigning or retiring from that position. What would it be like to succeed him? Because he does carry a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge and seems sometimes don't run things in the meetings.
Well, I'm certain we're going to have to rely on his expertise in the future too.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he doesn't just leave town. I don't
Right.
think that's his plan, but no, there are times you have to rely on past leadership and past employees
Right.
to help determine the future. I experienced the same thing when I came here as president and CEO of the Convention Visitors Bureau. I
Right.
followed an individual that had had that office for 27 or 28 years.
Mm-hmm. But you got to deal with Leslie and Julie.
He hired
I
me.
was
Oh, he hired
fortunate
you?
there.
Charlie
I was
hired
very
me.
fortunate to work with those two ladies.
Yeah. So that you built a team.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And how do you build teams? I mean, that's a great.
You look at the areas that are maybe weaker areas within your organization,
Mm-hmm.
and then you find individuals that have the strengths that you need to build those areas.
Right. Do you?
That's exactly what we did with Leslie.
Right. You saw her and you're like, okay, this kid's gonna do some work. She's got some things to figure out. We're gonna make
She
it
loves
work.
animals.
She loves animals, right? Is it true that if you're elected that you're gonna basically just drive people around in your pickup truck and do tours? Is that true? Just kidding.
Well,
You retired.
I would, but let me tell you.
Yeah.
There's not much Charlie McIlvain wouldn't do for this community.
That's true.
There are things that you just touched on, and we talked when Dalton was here,
Mm-hmm.
talking about all the things there is to see and do in
Kerrville,
Kerr
right.
County
Yeah.
area. And that's important. I think tourism's certainly a factor. I think tourism aids the budget. It reduces the expenditures that every citizen has to pay. And the great thing about that is that with everything going on tourism-wise, we need to continue to support the tourism industry. It's important that we maintain some of our facilities. For instance, the river,
Yeah.
big asset for tourism industry. And we've got to
Right.
make sure that river continues to serve us well. The youth event center is another. You've got to have those facilities in good shape. That's one of the areas that I strongly feel that we've got to do some work.
Right.
That building is 40 years old for the most part. Of the core of the building,
The oldest
is.
part.
You look at the courthouse. The oldest part of the courthouse is over. The offices within the courthouse are over
Yeah.
50 years old. Everything needs some maintenance occasionally and some updating. Your home. Everyone's home has to be maintained and updated occasionally, and we've got to do the same thing to our facilities here in Kerr County.
What do
got
you
to-
think the defeat of those bonds meant? Was that I viewed it as a backlash against the commissioner's court. But I mean, they were critically important, especially the ones. I mean, there was no joke about them, And I felt like the commissioner's court actively rooted against those bonds. They didn't want the political.
Some cases probably did.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
That's if you'll recall during that election, the term was these are needs, not wants.
Right.
And now those needs are even greater.
Right.
2 years down the road.
Even more
because,
expensive
again,
too.
Right.
Our facilities are beginning to deteriorate more.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to come up with a method of funding to help offset the cost of maintaining our facilities.
One of the things that I have to give credit to George Baruti for this, one of his smarter ideas. Most of his ideas are horrible, but this was a good one, where he said that the county should go to EIC, the cities, and ask for money to help pay for the improvements to the youth event center, that it was beneficial to. But I thought that was actually a smart play. But the city and the county's relationships are so strained at this point. How do you improve that relationship with the city?
I think that's one advantage I have by being here and working in the community for 12 years. I've got a great working relationship with the leadership of Kerr County and the communities. Dalton Rice is an example. Although he hadn't been here very long, I've already established a good working relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Rotary with him. We sit down and visit on a fairly regular basis.
Because you're only on like 45 different committees, right? I mean, how many committees are you on?
5 or 6.
5 or 6, right? Yeah. The idea, though, my sense of things with the county too is that for years, and this is true, I think this is one of the big challenges for Texas in general, was that kind of gotten away with not paying people things. That has suddenly changed because the price of housing has changed so dramatically here in the state. And yet they haven't kept up pace with the salaries. Now the sheriff has done a good job of getting the funding he needs, but they're still kind of priced a little bit below where they're still offering a little bit less than what others can give. Are you ready? Would you be in favor of raising taxes to cover some of these costs, or is that out of the question?
Lewis, nobody wants to see a tax increase.
Yeah.
But realistically, occasionally you have to bite the bullet and do that.
Yeah.
And anybody that tells you anything different is not telling you, not being totally honest.
Right.
With you.
And you're facing 2 other opponents in this race. Both races have three each for the primary.
Correct.
You were immediately depicted, I think, as a liberal. How does that make you feel?
I think I'm pretty conservative.
Yeah. Look at your hat and mustache.
I grew up, in fact, when I registered to vote for the very first time, I registered as a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a Republican. I won't say that I voted. In fact, I haven't voted straight Republican tickets throughout my life. But if there's somebody else that's better qualified for a position, I'll deviate from the Republican side and vote. But no, I don't consider myself a liberal. I think anybody that's been around me very long will agree that I'm pretty conservative. In fact, I try to stretch.
I think if they have to use that as an insult, they don't have anything to really dig on you on, Charlie, for how much that you do.
That's possible too.
Now, I thought, for whatever reason, I pictured that you guys might, wander off and retire. You had another place that you were from, but why did you stick around Kerrville? What was the thing? Was it George Eichner? Was it his fault?
Well, he was a factor.
Yeah.
No, to be honest with you, we were fortunate. Rhonda and I were fortunate in that many people don't get to relocate to Kerrville until after they retire.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to spend the last 10 years of my career working in Kerrville. And by the time I retired, we knew that this was where we wanted to live. I've worked other cities throughout the state, and Rhonda and I had a representative company, a firm that represented the state and various cities in the state and industry trade shows. And so we've visited those areas. In Kerrville, the quality of life here is exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we were talking a few minutes ago about when you look at the leadership that we have in this community, it's exceptional. You just don't find that kind of integrity and the leadership that we've got right here in Kerr County everywhere you go.
Right.
So that benefits our community. And of course, when I was selling Kerrville on a day-to-day basis, I pointed out the quality of life is really exceptional in the fact that how many cities do you know have all the theater venues that we have in a city this size? How many cities have 3 hospitals?
Mm-hmm.
How many cities have an individual living in that city that has walked on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
How many cities do you know when you look at Kerrville and Fredericksburg, has the largest number of millionaires per capita of any city in the state of Texas.
Right.
And those individuals could live anywhere they want to live, but they have selected Kerrville and Kerr County as their home.
Right.
And they've done that for a reason, and quality of life is a big factor.
I mean, I already know. I mean, I've been all over the state. I mean, there's parts I haven't been to, but I mean, I've crisscrossed the state, numerous times in the last 10 years. We came here partially because my daughter went to Baylor, and I worked up in the Dallas area for a few months in 2021, and I was like, I could not wait to get back here. Like, I'd come back on the weekends. I was like, oh, thank God I'm back in Kerrville, and people ask me all the time, like, what is it like? And I'm like, it's just very unique. And I like to brag about it with my mother because it makes her mad. So, oh, I'm at the symphony, Mom. Stop bothering me. Oh, I'm at a play, Mom. Stop. I'm at an art show, Mom. That's the beauty of this community as well.
It truly is, Lewis, and that's like I say, there are just very few. You could probably map out the cities across the country that have the amenities that this city has, especially the size of this city.
Right.
There aren't many. We're very fortunate here.
Last year, we spent the county spent an unbelievable amount of time discussing election integrity. Ultimately saying no to hand counting ballots, but it's not dead yet. What is your position on hand counting of ballots?
And I know it's not dead, but I think we have had and been rated as having one of the best election systems in the state.
Right.
And Bob Reeves and his team has done an exceptional job of managing the election system. And I'm very much in favor of. This is the digital world. This is, electronics. Although things aren't perfect, it's just a much more efficient system of determining the election results.
What's your assessment of working with people like, Sheriff Larry Letha or Bob Reeves or that Column kid? I think you might know him. You probably know a little bit about that guy.
A little bit about him.
Yeah.
You're right, and I just mentioned a few minutes ago about how fortunate we are to have the talent we have in this community, and those are other examples of the exact same thing. I think, again, Sheriff Letha is just an exceptional sheriff, and he's accessible at the same token. And you mentioned that we don't have the highest salaries for our law enforcement officials, but we've got probably both at the county level and city level here in Kerrville. We have some of the top law enforcement professionals leading the charge.
Right. And again, I think it's because they want to live here. They want to be here.
Absolutely.
So
this community provides something they're looking for, and it's to our benefit.
They want to raise their family here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You bet.
Yeah. But working with Bob Reeves, though, that guy's world class, right?
He is. He's very knowledgeable. He grew up here, has a great history of the community. And I can't think of anybody better as the tax assessor than Bob Reeves.
Right. And there's very few events that you're at where you're not interacting with somebody who is in the community or things like that. I've heard some people criticize it. They call it the Kerrville swamp. Is that true? Is there a swamp here of internal players that get all the things done, or is there room for new ideas here in Kerr County?
I think there's always room for new ideas, but again, that's one of the advantages we have is that there are many opportunities for entrepreneurs to come in and develop new programs and projects. Again, part of that probably is due to some of the leadership being wise enough and realizing the talent and the opportunity and working with those individuals. So certainly I think that's a factor, but again, it goes right back to the quality of life.
Right.
Those individuals, those entrepreneurs want to be in a community that's very forward-thinking and working hard to make things work and make things better and create those opportunities.
Right. The again, going back to what you perceive as the biggest challenge facing the county, is it those facilities or or the tax issues?
I think it's a combination of things. I don't know that it's any one situation. I do think housing is an important factor, and we've got to, one of the boards I'm on is the Habitat for Humanity, but I think it would make sense for that organization to work with some of the other, the medical industry or some of the other organizations that are trying to provide homes for their employees. We've got to have workforce housing to bring in educators, law enforcement and first responders, medical technicians and medical professionals. And in some cases, one of the things that you get into here in Kerr County, the topography is great for the beautiful views that we enjoy from our homes.
Right.
But it certainly adds to the challenge of infrastructure development.
Right.
Adds to the cost.
Right.
But we've got to work to figure out a way of building homes that will be affordable to workforce housing individuals that are coming in to, again, work for our community and make this a better place to live.
And I think that the real challenge for the county, and they've done this, they've found ways to reject some projects. They just did this last year with that Eagle Ridge Road project that the neighbors were furious about because the road wasn't really designed for a lot of traffic, and even though it was the largest state project that they were proposing, it was still going to add 200 new vehicle trips a day on the road. That's not very wide and not very good, quite frankly. But I do worry that the legislature has made it so difficult for you guys to regulate any kind of development that, and Tom Jones had mentioned this too, that Centerpoint could be a city in a hurry, or you could have a situation where developers are inching in towards, it might be just outside of the Kerrville city limits, but they're within their jurisdiction basically, and suddenly that becomes a city property that extends that area out even further, and you suddenly have a gigantic city because there's no control on these developers. I don't know how you manage that. I mean, it seems like your hands are tied.
Well, you've still got to be in a position to occasionally say no. I'm a believer if we got to the point where we absolutely didn't have water, I don't believe you can continue to build homes.
Right.
You've got to be able to provide utilities and services to new home owners and their properties. And so that's a challenge, and it probably always will be in this area. As long as we can have growth and
sustainable
Kerr County,
growth.
Is poised for growth. We're going to see that.
Yeah. There's a lot of those issues out there, that we're facing too. What's your pitch to voters though? What do you say to the voters?
Well, as I mentioned, I think Kerr County needs strong, experienced, responsible leadership willing to make the challenging decisions to keep Kerr County financially secure and moving in a positive direction.
Yeah.
Throughout my career, I've managed organizations keeping them financially secure and within budget.
Right.
Another thing that I think we have going, we've got to support Sheriff Letha and his activities. As long as the border's unsecure, we're going to have some challenges there, and we need to make certain that we've got everything we can come up with to control smuggling, human smuggling, and illegal drugs and other illegal activities coming into our community. I do believe Kerr County can be kept, the tax rate can be manageable by supporting tourism and tourism events and activities. And I've lived in Kerrville for 12 years and paid taxes, and I'm dedicated to a lifelong commitment to service.
Right. And if you're elected, will you sell the Porsche?
No.
All right, fine. How many Porsches do you own, by the way? Are you Jerry Seinfeld-esque in your Porsche ownership? Do you have 4 or 5?
I've got 3.
3.
Rhonda and I have 3.
Rhonda, which one is Rhonda? Rhonda seems like maybe a 911 Carrera kind of person.
That's a Thunderbird.
She's a Thunderbird. Oh my! Like what year of Thunderbird?
02.
02. So when they brought back the nostalgic things. By the way, I forgot to mention that since that is a Ford Thunderbird product, just a real quick shameless plug. Don't forget to take your car to Quick Lane. For all your service needs, make an appointment today, 830-257-5557. Rhonda, get your car serviced at Quick Lane. Seamless transition.
Man,
there
a real pro.
Isn't that amazing? I can just jump in there and do that.
I know.
What's your favorite thing about Kerr? But putting on your if you threw Julie Davis out for a day, what would be your
I wouldn't even attempt to replace Julie Davis. She is exceptional.
Isn't it great though? Isn't it great though? You can walk away from that knowing that that they were gonna be okay. Isn't that the mark of a real leader though? If you can walk away from a job and say,
I wouldn't have walked away if I hadn't. In fact, in my resignation letter, I stated that I would hope and recommend that the Convention Visitors Bureau board not spend money on a going after and looking for a new CEO because we had the talent needed right here in house.
Right. And that was
thankfully they followed my recommendation, and look where they've gone. They brought the Convention Bureau all the way up to a different level.
That's amazing too. I always think that's a sign of a good boss, is if you can walk away from a position thinking to yourself that I have done my work, it is in good hands because of the people that I retained or influenced or I hired, and they can do the job and I'm not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
That was the key.
Charlie was probably the first time I had a boss that would ask my opinion on something and hear me out. He might not have agreed with me all the time, but he entertained me, but he also took me seriously. Yeah. And it meant a world to me.
It did.
Well, you have to do that, in my opinion. You got to let your managers and your employees make decisions and move the organization forward.
Yep. That's true. That's a great point as well. Good stuff as always from Charlie McIlvain. Well, let me ask you this one more question though. Wearing that CVB hat, what's your favorite thing about Kerr County?
I don't know that I could name one favorite. I think it's
top
just
three.
A combination of.
What's your top three?
Top three. Certainly the river is an asset. Recreational opportunities. Yeah. The theater opportunities and entertainment opportunities here. I think we've got excellent dining facilities and restaurants. It amazes me. You see people in Fredericksburg coming over here for special events and special occasions, celebrating birthdays and anniversaries and what have you. And we do have, for a community this size, we've got some very good restaurants.
That's nice. All right, good job. Well done. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it very much. Leslie,
letting me join you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't forget, go over to our friends over at Napa to get a pair.
Yeah, get some wipers.
Save $18 on per pair on Trico silicone ceramic wiper blades. That's not the kind of silicone that we're talking about, Tawny Fontaine Jenner. But yeah, get there today. $15 per pair. Save $15 per pair on those Edge wiper blades as well. $18 per pair on the Trico silicone ceramic wiper blades. I might just go get some myself.
It's a hell of a deal.
It's a hell of a deal. It's a hell of a deal.
That's right.
Because you know what? You really need to, in Kerrville, you need to change those wiper blades out probably twice a year. You know.
Sun is hell on those things.
Yes, it is. It is. All right. Pot of Hot Fest, by the way. Get there now. Get your tickets now. Right. Get your tickets now. I'm going to cover my face up.
Charlie, are you going to go to Pot of Hot?
I bet so.
All right.
Yeah. You got a favorite soup you want to have? What's your
favorite soup?
What's your go-to soup?
Gosh, I like the cream soups.
Yeah. The cream of mushroom.
You bet.
All right. What about split pea? Would you have a split pea? No.
I wasn't a pea fan when I was.
Look, I'm telling you, neither am I.
So I'm not going to probably go the split pea direction.
Okay. All right. See, there's a reason why I shouldn't do it, because I'm not going to be able to win over Charlie McIlvain.
No, you wouldn't.
So, Pot of Hot Fest, though, coming February 24th at Trailhead. Get your tickets today. Go to trailheadbeergarden.com to find out those as well. And boy, tomorrow we have Amy Goodyear going to be in the show. She's going to storm on.
Yay!
Yeah. And lastly,
I think she's bringing Brad too.
Yeah. She's bringing
Who's in the show?
She's bringing people. Don't forget the Stanley Quencher tumblers are on sale over at Gibson's Discount Center. They'll help you out there today. What did you learn today, Leslie Jones?
I learned that Marcus Goodyear is not in the play this weekend.
That's true. There you go. You learned that
Brad
directly.
Gilbert is. He's my neighbor, so go see it for Brad.
Get it for Brad.
Yeah.
Charlie, did you learn anything today?
I learn something every day.
Every day? Did Dalton introduce you to the Citizens Academy they're going to have? That's pretty cool.
That is exciting. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah.
Look into that myself.
Yeah, let's do it together. I mean, you probably. I was like, Charlie, you could probably do the tour.
Yeah. You can always learn something.
That's right.
By the way, we're watching live coverage right now of the Supreme Court. They're discussing whether or not Trump is viable for being president. This is from Bloomberg. What the justices have been discussing is a reference in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that prohibits anyone who's previously taken an oath to support the Constitution as an officer of the United States from holding office if they've engaged in an insurrection. Trump argues the president doesn't qualify, and the Constitution's text and structure make that clear. The phrase officer of the United States appears in 3 other constitutional provisions: the Appointments Clause, the Commissions Clause, and the Impeachment Clause, and the president is excluded, Trump's attorneys said in briefs for the court. So on we go. We'll have more on that probably in the lead tomorrow. So
Brenda's making Dutch soup for Hotto Pot.
Oh, is she really?
Mm-hmm. She just put it in the comments.
You know, here's the thing, though, right, about Brenda Hughes, though, is that she might add some Indonesian spice to it.
Okay.
You know, because she's got all that heritage. You know,
I'm excited.
in the Dutch East Indies.
I'm excited for all the soup. I love soup.
Should I? I don't know.
Do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Do it.
Yeah. Why not? What do you, who cares? It's it's for a good. You're supporting a new local tradition.
I know. Well, I'm already supporting it.
Yeah, but you
I keep
can
trying
be
to give Jeremy.
hands-on.
I keep trying to give Jeremy sponsorship money. He's like, get away from me.
Well, then make a soup.
I know. All right.
Just do it. Okay.
Good job, everybody. Thanks for being here.
We'll make Charlie try it.
Yes. Yeah.
He has to have at least one bite.
Charlie, I'm telling you right now, as a child, I was traumatized by peas, but I was never traumatized by pea soup. It's like ketchup.
Whatever it was, it worked
drives
for
me
you.
crazy. I can't stand ketchup, but I'll have a tomato any day of the week. So there you go. It just does
Everybody's has our thing.
Everyone has their thing. So, all right, everybody. Thanks a lot. Tomorrow again, Amy Goodyear will be here tomorrow. Next week, man, we got a great series of shows next week. We'll have all the other candidates for the commissioner's court on the show next week, I believe, as we head towards early voting, which is February 20th. We will close out next week with Tammy Prout while the rest of the commissioners
Very cool.
will be here. But Monday, Leslie, we're having a special show Monday.
What are we doing on Monday?
Monday is the 100th anniversary of Rhapsody in Blues publication.
Oh, how fun.
So Don Crandall will be here.
Excellent.
I think he's going to play for us a little bit with
I love
Gene
Donald
Dowdy.
Crandall.
Yeah, so there we go. It'll be
I was
great.
like his peer advisor at Shriner.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I've lived here a long time.
You've lived here a long time. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.
No holding back, no stepping stones, no broken promises, no busy tones. Just what it takes, just make believe.